How's everybody doing? This is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about a situation going on in Puerto Rico. And before I begin, I just want to say I hope everybody pulls through. Hope everybody's able to get back up and running as it relates to food, water, gas, electricity. Hopefully everything goes back to normal. But to get to the controversy, I'm sure most of you have seen what's been going on all over the media. You've had all kind of comments come from everywhere. You've had tweets come from Donald Trump. You've had things said by people that are on the island, things said by those that are not on the island. It's a lot of different things happening. There's been rumors of a trucking strike. It's a lot of things going on. We're going to start first with the actual mayor of San Juan, Miss Carmen Cruz, and her comments directed towards Trump. I think at the end of the day, her comments were just very dramatic. And if you've not seen those, go ahead and watch them right now.
We are dying here, and I cannot fathom the thought that the greatest nation in the world cannot figure out logistics for a small island of 100 miles by 35 miles long. So I am asking the President of the United States to make sure somebody is in charge that is up to the task of saving lives. If anybody out there is listening to us, we are dying, and you are killing us with the inefficiency and the bureaucracy. We will make it with or without you. Because what stands behind me is all due to the generosity of other people. Again, this is what we got last night. 4 pallets of water, 3 pallets of meals, and 12 pallets of infant food, which I gave them to Comerío, where people are drinking off a creek. So I am done being polite. I am done being politically correct. I am mad as hell. So I am asking the members of the press to send a mayday call all over the world. We are dying here.
Okay, you saw that. You see what she said. Now, really, this was very dramatic. You know, I don't know. I'm not trying to be air quotes sexist or whatever. That just may be the woman in her just being dramatic like that, like a telenovela, but I digress. I'm not trying to be racist, but that's kind of what I'm getting. It's just like overly dramatic, really. And I understand the situation. People are suffering on the island, but it's not quite what she's making it seem. The issue here is not really about Trump or, the federal government or anything like that. The issue is the island itself. Yes, it is a very small island. What she said, 100 miles long by 30 miles wide from north to south. I understand that. But the problem is that it's not just a flat surface. You have mountains, you have rivers, you have a lot of different geographical challenges to the island. And beyond that, you had basically 2 hurricanes hit back to back. So not only do you have geographical challenges that are natural, you also have unnatural challenges that are in the way of supplies being able to move from A to B. You got a lot of debris, trees down everywhere, just a lot of stuff that needs to be moved out the way in order for something to get from A to B. And that is the biggest issue here, is the logistics of it. She's saying, oh, you're the biggest country in the world. You're the most powerful country in the world. Why can't you figure out logistics? Well, it's easier said than done, right? You can't just say, okay, we're big and powerful. We're the USA. We could just do whatever we want to do. Okay. The problem is really, there's no power on the island at all. First of all, so any kind of planes that fly in are flying into an airport that has no power. I think even still right now, as I speak, October the 2nd of 2017, there's no power on the island. And if there is any power, it's intermittent at best. So you cannot really run efficient things with that power because it's not on for any length of time to be able to do something for an extended period of time. You're talking about the airport. A lot of the air traffic control is being run out of Miami. And if you didn't know, Puerto Rico is actually about 1,100 miles away from the mainland United States. It's not that close. Puerto Rico is actually closer to South America than it is North America. You know, it's past Cuba, it's past Dominican Republic and Haiti. It's actually kind of far away. So for things to be happening out of Miami from Puerto Rico, that's actually a pretty challenging thing that have happened. So when you having that kind of problem with your airport, it's hard to be able to move things back and forth. You know, you need power, you need air traffic control to see what's going on. And beyond that, let's talk about the actual boats that are coming in, the shipping that's coming in. Trump has waived the Jones Act for now. And what the Jones Act basically means is that any port of the U.S., any port that's going to it from another U.S. port has to be owned and operated and maintained by Americans. So basically, when you waive the act, you can have any vessel enter Puerto Rico, right? So that would just increase the amount of supplies that's coming to the island, not just from the U.S., maybe from Brazil or somewhere like that, maybe from another island that's not part of the U.S., maybe the British Virgin Islands or something like that, if they've not been impacted by any kind of hurricane or whatever, and they have supplies and a ship to be able to send to Puerto Rico. Now, the thing about that is when the vessels are coming to the island, you can get to the island pretty easily because there's no obstruction in the water. The only kind of obstruction in the water would be a hurricane or some kind of other storm. But for the most part, you could pretty much sail clearly from Florida or from the Virgin Islands or from South America, Brazil, Venezuela, whatever, and get straight to Puerto Rico. But once the items get to the actual docks, it's a bottleneck right there because they're not able to move away from the docks, because you got to be able to have the actual people that have trucks to be able to get it from the docks to the destination. Check this video out right here, and then you'll kind of see more of what I mean.
There are 3,000 cargo containers here at Crowley, one of the biggest shippers in Puerto Rico. These are all refrigerated units. They're known as reefers, and each one of them operates on a generator. Crowley is now using 4,000 gallons of fuel every single day to keep the operations here at its terminal up and running. But here's the problem. The truck drivers can't get to the terminal to get their containers out. Each one of these has medicine and food, construction supplies, building equipment. They say the problem is not that there's no fuel. There's fuel. There's plenty to fuel the recovery on the island. The problem is distribution. They've got security issues. They've got federal agents guarding the fuel distribution centers. They've got a requirement that there are 2 armed law enforcement officers accompanying every truck that goes out to deliver fuel to the gas stations. And then the issue with the drivers, right? You got to get the drivers from their homes to their place of employment. That takes gas and it takes cell phone communications. And then you got to fill up the semi truck so that they can come pick up these cargo containers and move them to the distribution center. One problem that they haven't even addressed yet is then how do you get the shipping containers back to Crowley, back on these ships, back to the United States so they can be refilled with more supplies. They're not even there yet. First, they got to make more room.
Okay, so you see that. So you see what's going on. The supplies are there. All the crates are just sitting there on the docks. And quite frankly, the docks are being overrun. There are so many supplies coming in. Waiving the Jones Act is a good thing, but it's only good when you're able to move the items from the actual docks to a destination. Right now, it's just sitting there. I mean, you got food, water, medical supplies, building materials, all kind of stuff just right there sitting. That's what happens a lot of times in these kind of situations, because you're able to get to the actual dock, which is right on the coast, very easily, and drop stuff off from a ship using a crane or whatever. But being able to move it is a challenge. Now, I saw a rumor that says that the truckers union was on strike, but I've not been able to substantiate that. What I've seen is that there's an association of truckers, not a union, but an association of truckers. And I'll link to a Spanish language video in the description box below. You have this guy that's kind of like ranting, and it's in Spanish, and the subtitles are not really that good from YouTube, the translations that is. But what from I've been able to ascertain from reading the comments is that the guy was talking about how there's a law in place that makes so much red tape when you try to go get the actual materials on a truck and then bring them to a place in Puerto Rico. Now, he's blasting the governor, Ricardo Rosselló, for that. And he's saying that the law not being waived is part of the reason why goods cannot move from A to B, is part of the reason why there's a logistical nightmare. That, and also that there's no diesel fuel, or there's a shortage of diesel fuel. And he's also talking about how the governor did not prepare adequately enough for the crisis. After the first Hurricane Irma, there should have been more fuel to prepare for the next hurricane, because he knew that it could be a tragedy in which you would need to have supplies move from A to B, but that did not happen. I think right now you have enough gas as of today, October 2nd, 2017, but there's still not an ability to get things from A to B, because now you got a shortage of actual truckers. Some people that are on the island are not able to get to the docks because, you know, there's no power. So a lot of them don't have cell phone coverage. You know, they can't call, so they can't really tell people, okay, come get me. Or they may have a rig that's parked by their house, but the rig may be destroyed because of the actual hurricane and the flooding. So now what has to happen is you got to bring in truckers and trucks from probably mainland US or other islands that are in the area, or South America, bring those in and be able to get people to move things from A to B, and also continue to have the military there to do cleanup in the interior of the island, so you're able to have that smooth traversal. The mayor talking about Trump in the U.S. was just really dramatic, in my humble opinion. I'm not really sure what that was for. Maybe it's because that's just how she is, like a telenovela or whatever. Maybe she was just trying to get more attention to the situation. She had a t-shirt on talking about we're dying. And that is over dramatic. But at the end of the day, as I close, I think the best thing for Puerto Rico would be for the whole bottleneck situation to be solved, get more trucks, get more truckers. I've not seen anything about a trucker strike or anything like that. The problem with the governor, from the trucker guy representing his association, he was saying that he did not prepare properly. And there's a law that I think FEMA instituted that they have to follow, which is causing a lot of red tape. So if a truck does get to the docks, they got to go through a whole rigmarole to be able to get the goods on the rig to drive it. And then when they drive, it's hard for them to move around an island with all kind of steep hills, valleys, debris, and everything else. So what do you think? Do you think that Trump, he is the reason why Puerto Rico is having all these challenges? Is it his fault? Is it the fault of the governance of the actual island? Is it the fault of Mother Nature, right? At the end of the day, this would be a lot simpler if you had an island with a full power grid, which is not right now. If you had an island that was not so geographically challenging, hills, valleys, rivers, etc. If you had an island that was not full of debris and also security problems. I think that they said any truck that has fuel that goes to a gas station is required to have at least 2 armed people on it to prevent people from coming and try to rob the truck of the fuel or rob the drivers of the truck or whatever it is. So you got a lot of different things to be concerned about when you're talking about recovery efforts on the actual island. But as of right now, there's a lot of efforts on the island to make it better. And I'll link to a full list of those in the description box below. But there's a lot going on. There's all kind of military there. Where I'm at in Norfolk, Virginia, we sent some troops down there because we got a big naval base. We got, you know, Air Force, et cetera, et cetera. We sent a lot of people down there to help. There's all kind of humanitarian aid, a lot of money that's being raised, you know, so hopefully all of us as a collective were able to make Puerto Rico great again, bring them back to the way they were before the actual hurricanes hit. And hopefully there will not be any more loss of life and nobody will be starving. The materials are there. The supplies are there. The food is there. All we got to do is just be able to get it from point A to point B, which is the main challenge. So whatever your comments are, let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.